How's it going, everyone? My name is True Underdog, and today we're having a look at Jade's Variation 3. Please request which character you want next in the comments down below, and without any further ado, let's get started. So of course we gotta start things off by looking at these special moves, because these have me pretty excited. Some of these moves haven't been possible since the beta, at least in ranked matches. Okay, so first up we have Divine Forces. This move reflects projectiles. You can extend it by amplifying, but you want to wait a little bit, and in fact you can actually amplify it twice to just keep it going. Just keep the thing spinning forever. I kind of wish you could just hold it down like Nightwolf, but not every character should be the exact same, so I like how it's at least different. That's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and test it out. Katana, throw a fan at me please. It's okay, I'm asking you to. It makes it fine. And then throw two. Let's see what we can do to that. Ooh, does not start up right away. You gotta do it preemptively. But it does come back pretty quickly. What if we do two? Oh, it does not seem to work on two. Can I amplify it to do two? Oh, you can do two. You just gotta time that bad boy. You gotta amplify it in between, so you gotta do it early and then amplify it, and you can throw. What is this? What is this? What have I done? What monster have I created? So it seems like in theory you could amplify in between the two and send them both back. That's gonna be almost impossible to do online, but oh, I did it again! I think what's happening is it's hitting its own projectile on the way back. Is that what's happening? The one time I actually managed to do it. Okay, there we go. You can send back both or get a very funny glitch to happen. However, there's one more thing about this move which is very interesting and a little bit weird. So if you amplify this thing at close range, it actually launches the opponent, and yes, you can get a follow-up. Though the timing's a bit odd because you recover very late. So you have to really time it, but you can definitely get a follow-up, and that's pretty cool. But here's why it's weird. From what I've tested, nothing that she has actually combos into this, even in the corner. So it seems like the main idea behind this move is to get the knockdown maybe, and then when they wake up in the corner you catch them with it because they think you're left open, and you catch them with it because they just don't know it can do that. And you can even amplify it twice, by the way. And this does pretty decent damage, especially in the corner, and it makes the follow-ups easier as well. So normally in the corner, you can't do this string after you land the amplified version of this, but if you amplify it twice, you do have time to actually do this follow-up, which is one of her more damaging ways to end combos now. So that's pretty cool, but once again, I can't find any way to combo into this. I went through every single move she has, and none of them seem to combo, so maybe I'm missing something, or perhaps I'm just not amplifying it correctly, because when I do it, it doesn't actually combo. So it seems like the main idea is to have the opponent cornered, so they wake up into it, and they think, oh, I'm gonna punish you, and you catch them with it. I think that's the main idea. Otherwise, I just don't see it happening. Or maybe some moves like this that have really good hits done, so plus 15, you cancel into it, they think it's an input error, they press a button and you catch them. That could definitely happen, but outside of those two situations, I don't see any way to actually combo into this. But whatever the case, it's still a very interesting reflect, very unique to every other one in the game because it can actually launch the opponent if you're close enough. And then we have Divine Forces, a low hitting special move, 23 frames on startup and plus 16 on hit. Ooh, that can be good for some throw shenanigans, or even better, they know how to block this overhead. They're not going to interrupt that. So that seems pretty darn good. Pretty plus on hit. And you could even, in theory, do this. So that's an overhead low. What happens if they block it though? Let's go ahead and see. What's this thing like on block? Boing. -4. Wow, a low attack that's only -4. So if you do this, you're still completely safe. And look at all that distance. You could definitely dash back. It's not your turn, but you could totally dash backwards and reset the situation, since most characters do not have the range to chase you down. They'll have to dash in or jump in, all that crazy stuff, maybe throw a projectile, but they're not doing a normal attack to chase you down from that distance. So it seems like on block, this is very similar to her first variation, because you had overhead low, or you had mid low instead of mid overhead. So if you have an overhead in your string, you can replace it with this and keep yourself safe, which is nice because the overhead's definitely not safe. -13. And -19, so instead do the low and you're completely safe. Now there does appear to be a bit of a gap there. I'm not sure how big of a gap, but there does seem to be a slight pause there, and perhaps an offline opponent could fuzzy guard this fairly easily, but it seems like a pretty decent mix-up with no risk. However, do be warned, the range on this move is not the best. It's not terrible either, but it's not very good, so some moves on hit, the opponent's completely safe. They're actually pushed too far away, so if they don't block this mid, you just let them escape for free. The overhead seems to still work as long as you're right in their face, but otherwise it might miss, so be careful. On block, this is much better, because it is a potential mix-up on that second hit. However, if the first hit lands, they get off scot-free, so be very careful when doing this mix-up. If the opponent's blocking, it's a very good idea, but if they're more aggressive, this move can miss if you land that first hit. But then of course we have the amplified version, which is of course the most exciting. So if you spin the bar, a low-hitting teleport, and it's very fast. Not quite as fast as Scorpion, but man is it fast. This thing is just nuts. It will counter zoning very, very well. So if you don't want to do this, you can just spin the bar and go right behind him. Oh my Wamu Shindaru, and it's a low. Gets the knockdown, plus 27 on hits. So you can do whatever you want to them, even jump, and they have to deal with you on the way down. That is just crazy. It's very, very good. What's it like on block? Oh my goodness, -3. Are you serious? It's a safe teleport, everyone. We have a safe teleport. Now you can't really combo into it, it seems like, most of the time. So you can't really combo into it. It's not as good as Scorpion in that regard, but man, it's safe. A safe teleport. So even if the opponent's trying to bait you, like they throw a projectile and then block to bait you, they still can't punish you. It's their turn, sure, but they can't punish you for doing it. That's pretty crazy. A free way to get in. That's just nuts. If you want to close that gap, just spin the bar and you're there. Now, of course, there are ways you could try and counter it, right? You could jump. So the opponent could throw a projectile at you and then jump to bait the teleport, and then on the way down get a full combo on you. That definitely does seem possible. But if they're patient and block, they can't do nothing. They still can't punish you, so it's a very strong teleport if you ask me. So both of these special moves seem pretty good, but we're actually still not done yet, because the third ability gives you access to a bunch of new attack strings. And also keep in mind, even your sweep has gotten better too. Look at the range on this sweep. That is just crazy, right? And it is -7, but from this distance, no one's punishing it, so it's really good. And it is a 2-hitting sweep if you're closer, so a bit more damage than you normally would have gotten. If just the one lands, still pretty decent damage. Let me try and space it. Ooh, okay, not too bad. 70, not bad at all. You barely get any less damage for landing the further version, so it's a very good range sweep, and it hits twice, which is just awesome. And it's only -7, so from this distance, no one's punishing that. Look at it, -8, but look how far I am. Look how far I am. You're not punishing that. That is just awesome. But then we have the attack string. So first up, we have Betrayal. Now, unfortunately, you do have to dial in this entire thing. I'm not a big fan of dial-in strings, but let's see how good it is on block. In the beta, it was almost never worth it to do this because of how punishable it was. Only -2. All right, not a big deal. And honestly, there is a gap there though, I think. So that's the problem. My issue with this move is that this hit confirm is just so easy, so you just go for it. If it landed, you do the dash kick and you get some damage, whereas you can't really wait and then dial in this whole string. It's just not very easy to do. In theory, it is possible offline, but online, waiting to see if this thing hits and then dialing in the rest of it just seems really, really difficult to do. Once again, is it possible? Yes, in theory, but I don't like having to dial in the whole thing. But keep in mind, these mix-ups are a bit crazy, so low and then 2 overheads, and in fact, you can actually cancel it. Now, it's not as good unless they block it, but let's go ahead and try that. Totally works. So if the opponent's trying to block that overhead at the end, you do this low, get some good frame advantage, go for a throw or your overheads, all that good stuff. Pretty good pressure, especially in the corner. So you do get a guaranteed mix-up if they block this, on top of it being only -2 and tons of mix-ups. The issue is that second hit, I believe, has a pretty big gap in it. Now, of course, you could trick them by just canceling into something on block, and if they want to punish that, you can always enhance it, and that's a trick too. Definitely a gimmick that still works, especially online. But real quick, let's go ahead and see if there is in fact still a gap there. There definitely was during the beta, and that was one of my biggest issues. But let me see if I can interrupt this, and I'll have Jade attack me. All right, here we go. Oh, there is a gap. I didn't reach though. She does slide back quite a bit. But how big of a gap is there? Pretty big gap, honestly. I have lots of ways to hit her. That move is 10 frames on startup, and I still got her. Could I throw? No, too far away to throw, it looks like in most instances. I could just wait though, and get her that way, because she does scoot forward. So I could wait and just punish her that way, right? So there definitely are ways to punish people with this string. The follow-ups are not guaranteed. The mix-up at the end is nice though. I think against beginners who don't know this matchup, that string's going to be very, very good, but it certainly does have some risks to it, so just be warned, there is a gap there. It seems really good because it's not punishable, and there is a potential mix-up at the end. But if the opponent does start blocking you, you actually want to go for this instead, because you're still safe. I bet there is still a gap there, but it's much better than trying to do the whole thing, because that is interruptible. If the opponent starts interrupting, do this on block and keep yourself safe. However, if they interrupt that as well, then you want to just go for the nitro kick. It's a bit risky, but it's a great idea if the opponent keeps interrupting you. If they want to punish it, you could always enhance it a bit later, and that might catch them too. You have several ways to trick the opponent with this string. It is a bit of a mind game. Just keep in mind there is a gap before that second hit. And then we have bending time. I love this string, and it actually got a little bit better. It behaves better now on airborne opponents, so this can now be a go-to way to do your combos. Now, I always preferred doing this back in the day. This is not the most damaging route at all, especially not anymore, and it's honestly a bit tougher to do. So if you want things simple, just do that, you get a bit more damage. So those first three can be great for juggles, especially if the opponent's in the air. It's a very, very good string. How's it on block? -5, and once again, you could go for this. Now, not much of a mix-up, but let's see how the whole string is on block. Yeah, it's fully punishable, so if you do want that mix-up on block, go for Vanishing Winds instead, it's just better. However, that final hit actually can be good in a combo, since it does keep the opponent very close, and it's still +20 on hit when they're in the air. So that can be really good for setups, especially if the opponent has no meter to wake up with, so even that final hit, you don't get quite as much damage, but the difference is so minor, it's not even a big deal. If you want to keep the opponent close, then in that string, the damage you get from the full thing isn't that big of a deal. But if you do want to play some more zoning or counter zoning, then of course do the nitro kick. But otherwise, feel free to end the string. It's great on hit and also does decent damage. And then last but not least, we have too easy. Boom, look at that big smack. So you have high, low, mid. Nice. What's it like on block? Wow, -7, but look at that huge distance. That's very good. What are the first two like? Not good, -8. Opponent could definitely punish you, but they'd be risky for going for that because you could always finish it and catch them. So it seems like a pretty safe bet. It is a high attack though, so I'm not sure why you would do it. You have much better moves. What's the startup on this? 13? Startup on this is 10. So you're better off just doing that. So I don't see why this string wants to exist. It does do decent damage, but it's not one of your more damaging options. So 253, right? Not as good as this anymore, I don't think. So you're better off just doing that still. So during combos it was kind of good, especially in the corner, but honestly this string doesn't seem super useful. It's not terrible and it does keep you safe. Could also be great on block for fishing out a counter hit since you are -7, just do this. They can't reach you, so you might catch them with this trying to run in or something like that, so it could be decent in that regard, but outside of that one situation, I don't see this string being very useful. And that's about it for this variation, so is it the best of the three? I think it depends on your playstyle. You no longer have the air projectiles, and some players really love that. You still have the grounded ones, which are still just as good on hit and on block, but you don't have the air projectiles anymore, which are great for avoiding zoning, and you can't go purple either. But you can send the projectiles back at the opponent, which is pretty nice, and your teleport is just amazing. This thing is so fast. I feel like online, even if you're looking for it, you're gonna have a tough time reacting to this thing. You just wanna already be blocking. But just keep in mind, the opponent could sense it, jump in the air, and then catch you on the way down for a full combo. That definitely does seem possible, but even so, if they don't do that, it's 100% safe on block, and it's quick and great for countering zoning. So if you want a rushdown playstyle, this is the Jade you want to rock. I know there is some stigma online about Jade players always running away and playing very lame, so if you want to get rid of that stigma, you can play this variation and be more rushdown. All of these mix-ups are safe and still very useful, especially on block, so Jade is not as punishable as she normally would be. Typically these overheads, very unsafe. Even this move is very unsafe and you had no way to actually keep yourself safe. Now you actually can. Boom, you can do that or go for the full thing. And as long as the opponent doesn't interrupt that second hit, you are still safe. So this variation is more aggressive, it's great for countering zoning, and it's also safer than the other two. So it's honestly a pretty good build. But please let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, please leave a like if you enjoyed this video. It really does help my channel out a ton. And finally, why not keep that combo going by subscribing and ringing that bell? That way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.